Also, the police, how can they just directly conclude and declare कि अच्छा नहीं ये तो case of paranormal था?
When they were doing the Ouija board, the nun, the teacher came in. हमने तो सिर्फ उंगली हटाई थी, उसने Ouija board तोड़ा.
उसके blood में traces तो नहीं मिले and the cause of her death was known as pulmonary asphyxiation. That means she actually choked to death.
And it has gone down in history for being the first case of paranormal phenomena to be documented in an official police report. Welcome back everyone to another episode of the Ghost Encounters Unfiltered Podcast. I hope कि आपको last weekend का जो podcast था अच्छा लगा, and अगर अच्छा लगा होगा तो I'm sure आपको ये वाला भी अच्छा लगेगा, because even this one is under the public demand to dissect, to talk about this particular case, and it's पे Netflix की movie भी है, लोगों ने बातचीत भी किया हुआ है, and when we do this Q&A, you people do suggest us some interesting case, and you can still do it actually. ये podcast के नीचे भी अगर आप चाहते हो कि हम एक पर्टिकुलर केस को डाइसेक्ट करें, which should be based on true incidences, as in the case should be very much real and not like कि आप बोलोगे इंसीडियस मूवी को डाइसेक्ट करो. दैट वी कैन डू. मूवीज हम अभी फिलहाल डाइसेक्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं. ऑल वी आर डाइसेक्टिंग राइट नाउ आर केसेस विच आर फेमस और इनफेमस और ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स which are preternatural or supernatural or paranormal. So if you have any suggestion, please do comment down below. But before that, thank you so much for helping us cross 40,000 subscribers. I don't know कि by the time this video comes out हम लोग कौन से subscriber count में होंगे. अगर 50 के हो गया होगा तो nothing like it. But yeah, the aim is to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of May. अगर उसके पहले हो जाता है, nothing like it. We have a lot of things planned for you people, the people who are motivating us and supporting us and doing all these podcasts and reaction videos and investigation videos. So thank you so much from all of us. And like I said, we have an interesting case to dissect as of this particular podcast. And before we start, hi, my name is Sarbajeet.
This is Pooja.
And Savio.
And we are the investigators, researchers, and exorcists, and psychics, and healers of the Ghost Encounters team. You have seen us in investigating some of the most haunted locations of the country, reacting to paranormal videos, doing podcasts, and dissecting a lot of these cases. In this particular podcast, or in this podcast, the Ghost Encounters Unfiltered Podcast, we dissect a famous or an infamous paranormal case, and we try to give angles which are not easily discussed or are not put forth by any media or any other person. And this is the Ghost Encounters Unfiltered Podcast. So the case that we have to dissect tonight is a famous case for that particular country, of course, and इतना famous तो हो ही चुका है ये case के ऊपर movies भी बनी हुई हैं, and one of the most famous movies that is based on this case is called Veronica. Have you watched Veronica? No. Heard about the movie?
Heard about it.
Yeah? No.
No, I've not even heard about it actually, because कब आई थी movie है?
This is way back. Way back as not like the last decade, but this decade only, but I don't know the year.
No, I've not even heard of this movie.
Okay. So I think this was in 2018 or 2019. That was when the movie came out. But the movie is based on a case called the Veronica case, and we will get into the story before we dissect. The Veronica case is named after the Madrid neighborhood where in an apartment in these names are weird. अगर आपको लगता है कि हमने गलत बोला, then हाँ गलती हो गई है, because the names are quite Mexican and there's a very low chance that I'm going to pronounce it right. But pardon me if I do some major mistake in the pronunciation, but here goes.
चलेगा. Indian नाम वो लोग कौन सा सही लेते हैं?
Yeah, exactly. मेरा नाम हाँ. Never mind. So yeah, this is karma getting them back. So the Veronica case is named after the Madrid neighborhood where in an apartment in Calle Louis Marin 8, a repeated sequence of paranormal phenomena took place requiring even police intervention. It is one of the most famous cases among lovers of occult cases in Spain, and it has gone down in history for being the first case of paranormal phenomena to be documented in an official police report. The movie Veronica, directed by Paco Plaza and produced by Netflix, is inspired by this story. Even if the events shown in the film are quite different than the real story, but that's what creative liberty is. The contract is a clause they sign in the contract. The protagonist of this case is Estefanía Gutiérrez Lázaro, a Madrid-born teenager who lived with a family in that apartment in Vallecas. Stefania begins to be interested in occult phenomena, and one day at school she takes part of a spiritual evocation with an Ouija board together with two schoolmates. A teacher found them and tore the Ouija board apart. The girls present that day said that they saw smoke emanating from the glass of the Ouija board, and Stefania inhaled that smoke. From that moment, the adolescent begins to suffer from insomnia, hallucinations, and epileptic seizures. Stefania described strange human forms that came to visit her at night with no face, wearing a cloak, asking her to come with them. The parents took her to different hospitals trying to find the reason for her illness, but the doctors were never able to find anything. During the final peak of this attacks on July 13th, 1991, Stefania violently attacked her sister, Marianella, who ended up on the floor with foam coming out of her mouth. The day after, on July 14th, Stefania had a serious attack of catalepsy. She was then taken to the hospital in a state of coma and dies that very night. The autopsy fails to explain the reasons of her death, mentioning sudden and suspicious death. From the moment when Stefania dies, the paranormal phenomena in the Gutierrez house escalated. The mother hears the screaming voice of Stefania calling her from the rooms of the house, the laughter of an old man crossing the walls, glass breaking without explanation, objects moving, doors opening and closing on their own. One night, the mother hears something touching her hands and feet while she was fast asleep. Another night, the little daughters wake up terrified with their wrists being slammed violently against the wall. On November 1st, 1993, 2 years after Stefania's death, her photo hanging in the living room caught fire, and the part that burned was just one depicting her face, while neither the frame nor the nearby object showed any damage. On November 27th, 1992, the Gutierrez family decided to call the police. Inspector Jose Negri and his team arrived on the site in the night, finding parents and children outside the house in the rain, terrified. While a couple of agents stayed with the parents and listened to the whole story of what they experienced that night, Inspector Negri and two other agents entered the apartment. The report written by the inspector after the inspection has become a cult object among occultists. The report describes the door of a wardrobe that opened violently despite being locked a few seconds ago and almost hitting the face of the agents. It talks about the loud noises coming from the balcony where there was nothing, and a strange brown slimy thing that had formed on the bedside table. The report also describes a crucifix which was hung on the wall when the agents arrived and was then found on the ground. The crucifix was torn from the wood on which it was mounted, and the scratches of the 3 claws were clearly visible on the wall where it was hung, as if someone had ripped it apart from the wall. The agents also inspected the bathroom, according to the family, the most haunted place in the house, and felt a sudden drop in the temperature never felt before in their life. The agents left the apartment in a hurry, aware that they cannot do anything, and shortly afterwards, the Gutierrez family sold the entire house and moved away, and without any knowledge if the activity stopped or not. The new host never explained anything inexplicable as the previous family did. The Vallecas case is one of the most famous cases of paranormal phenomena in Spain. It was documented by national police officers who normally aren't easily impressed from a paranormal call and who couldn't be influenced by the stories that float in the neighborhood, but that night they saw and experienced things which they cannot explain as of date. Sometime later, Stefania's mother was subjected to a psychological examination which shows that she had signs of emotional instability, anxiety, and need for attention, suggesting that in some way she may have started or could have been the trigger of the events which many people or the family witnessed in the house. However, the events described by the police report were unrelated to the stories told by the mother and could have been interpreted by various ways by various people and being concluded in multiple ways. But of course, her name Stefania, and her two brothers, basically, not sisters. That was a mistake. Her two brothers actually went and saw things which are out of this world. As per the movie, which was a shitty movie actually, the mother was always out and she was kind of ignorant to the kids and she was always drunk and high, and that's why she never could never give the attention to what was happening. So it was the sister मैं उसका नाम भी अभी भूल गया फिर से. Stefania, and Stefania was the main guardian of the house for the two brothers. She used to feed them, get them up for school and something. So yeah, there are various stories. Some stories say that her mother was working in some office and hence she was again ignorant, but the ignorant part was constant in all the stories, and that because of that ignorance the kids took a path which led them to be where they are right now. But yeah, the movie was bad. It was pathetic.
Bad in what way?
Like
storytelling,
like most horror movies.
like most horror movies, storytelling and the execution part, and the horror. There was nothing horrifying in there. It ended like some shit show. It is bad, and that to Netflix producing it, I don't know.
People take creative liberties to a high liberty, you know, far stretched.
But so many red flags here. What are the red flags you noticed?
Over here, many.
Bhare
Bhare pade hain.
from the first thing only. We'll start starting.
Anyone?
No, you start. No, we'll start from there.
If I start, I'm close to completely debunking the case and actually wrapping the cops. Right from the start, okay. Mother, Concepcion. उसका नाम भी अच्छा है. She conceived this idea. Concepcion उसका नाम है. First red flag was she was diagnosed with epilepsy. She was so being diagnosed with epilepsy would mean that she would also be taking a lot of drugs. So when you take a lot of drugs, anti-epileptic drugs, you are dizzy all day.
Yeah.
You're completely living in a dazed full day. And epilepsy is genetically passed. So even when Stefania also died, ultimately she was diagnosed with epilepsy. She was having that cataleptic attack. That cataleptic attack means it's not epilepsy. Epilepsy means you just get a sort of a
Seizure type.
seizure.
Jhatka.
Yeah. In catalepsy, you get into a trance. So that is what. So it was a cataleptic attack. So it was like as close to a coma, which they diagnosed as a coma, and after later on she died.
Yes.
First red flag was the epilepsy that was passed on. Second thing was that she wasn't in good terms with her own daughter. They were having constant fights with each other. Right. Third thing is she had a problem even with her father. That is Stefania's grandfather. So she saw Stefania afterwards calling out to her from her room after she died, and even after her grandfather died, that she would see that black masculine figure just passing across or whatever like that. It might be that she is just hallucinating or guilty conscious of probably the murders or whatever like that, or probably being responsible for both these deaths or something like that, being guilty for that. These are the red flags. Then these guys were accused of playing the Ouija board, right? And they say that, her mother said, and everybody said that she was more interested in the occultism and whatnot, or occult practices, right? So being interested in occult practices, first of all, and getting into a group of girls, getting into the bathroom and playing the school bathroom and playing the Ouija board, and the Ouija board was very different. It had a glass top and it was a box. This means that they had some magic potion or something like that made inside that. It is given that when the nun came inside, the teacher came inside and broke the glass, right? At that point of time, there was a white smoke that went, which she inhaled. Fine. Now corroborate this, connect this along with the brown slimy substance that was found in the mother's bedroom, her bedroom, when the police went inside post her death, when the things were occurred. This could be traced now because this is a school. They might be having a chemistry lab. There are always any chances that there could be sulfuric acid or nitric acid that was brought to make a magic potion. They might have smuggled it inside because one of the friends of Stefania had lost her boyfriend, and they were trying to conjure the spirit of the boyfriend onto the board. So it might be that the nitric acid fumes were the ones that actually she inhaled. And the side effects of nitric acid fumes is asphyxia. You feel a breathing problem, breathing trouble, of which she actually died. Her coroner's report ultimately said that she died of pulmonary asphyxia. Pulmonary asphyxia means a problem in your lungs, and then afterwards you just die. Yeah. So that could be the most sudden and the most weird reason why, because that cannot be detected very easily in your autopsy. Right. Her acting crazy and her giving guttural screams, that is what is written over there, right, is exactly the byproduct of this. She might have inhaled it or probably even ingested it. And then afterwards it caused a lot of problems inside. It started just burning inside, and just, I guess, after say about 2 months, some people say 6 months or whatever, she just passed away. So all these are red flags, according to me. Then the police, when they came inside, these people were all out over there. The police just came inside and they examined 4 different things. One thing is the door slamming on its own, but that can be explained by, because even the mother also went up along with the police, that Mr. Negri. So she might have done something and they might felt that, you know, it suddenly slammed. Second thing is they found the brown slime. It was never sent for forensic analysis as to what exactly that was, because nitric acid is known to even melt skin and organic matter. So it might have been something like that, which they never sent. Third thing is the temperature change in the bathroom, and the mother used to always say, don't go to the bathroom, don't go to the bathroom, right? There might be something that she's concealing over there, might be concealing or might be even hiding nitric acid inside the bathroom, which she used to do other things also. And the fourth thing that they noticed was a scream outside in the balcony, which in the 2018 interview with those boys, once they grew up, the brothers, one of them said that, you know what, I had screamed outside. Why? Because my mother asked me to go and throw something. And when I threw it, it hit a pole and it made a big noise. So it wasn't anything paranormal like that. So this shows, and afterwards when she was actually cross-examined again, she was caught with a lot of anxiety issues, a lot of behavioral problems, a lot of epilepsy. I see all of this as being red flags. It was a tussle between the mother and the daughter, and then afterwards, I mean, she just took care of her daughter in such a way that she just left the world, sadly. She was always bullied. She wanted to leave the neighborhood. The children were always bullied in the neighborhood. That is also just written at school as well. So she wanted to leave the neighborhood and she had to create a drama. So neither did the poltergeist activities followed them, nor did it actually even stay in that apartment once they left. It just ceased to happen, which is very strange.
ये point मेरे भी mind में आया था कि जब इसके साथ हुआ, that time there were no activities happening. Like when with the girl, I am forgetting her name, Estefanía. But it was only after her passing that they reported कि door slam हो रहे हैं, and that is the mother reporting.
Exactly. And even the boys also. Yeah. When they gave their interview in 2018, people accused them of taking money or something like that. But then afterwards they said that no, there was no money exchange, nothing like that. And we have no, profit in anything of this. What they said is most of these things that were experienced in the paranormal happenings that were experienced in the house was experienced by their mother. And they were very small. And they used to only be said that, you know what, you don't get into this room, you don't do this. And the scratch marks and the tearing of the figurine from the crucifix, from the wooden part and everything, was only experienced by the mother.
Yeah.
इसमें ना एक I'll put a perspective because this is coming from a personal experience. ठीक है? So जब मैं hostel में थी, we had done the Ouija board. हाँ. So वो कीड़े थे उस टाइम पे, and we were 4 of us, and so there was this one girl who told कि उसको idea है, she has done it earlier, she knows how to open it, she knows how to close it. But before I get there, let me put a disclaimer here that we've done crap in the past shitty things. That does not mean even you have to do it or you have to try it. So please don't try any kind of spirit communication, Ouija board or anything on your own unless you know how to deal with it.
Yeah, we are not just plain college graduates right now. We are in this field from quite some time. So don't try to reinvent the wheel saying that, you know what, tumne kiya, humko bhi karne do.
So please don't do that. So a very, very important disclaimer. I'm only sharing it.
Or be ready to be featured in a film.
Oh yeah. God.
And be dissected by
So I'm just sharing it because, that brings me to a point of this case. So we were doing the Ouija board, and this girl who told कि मुझे आता है, I know how to open it, I know how to close it, so let's try, because she wanted some answers and she wanted to summon some good spirits for that. So you were like, ठीक है, let's try it. So रात हो गई थी, सब सो गए थे. It was late at night. We went into her room and बैठ गए चारों. And you know, she gave us some strong instructions. ये करना है, ये नहीं करना है, ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, वैसा ही होना चाहिए. And one of the instructions were that you know, she had a board. She made it. एक कार्डबोर्ड का, उसमें येस नो वगैरह वो सब डाल के शी टुक अ कॉइन एंड शी सेड चारों यहाँ पे उंगली रखेंगे, उंगली नहीं हटनी चाहिए, कुछ भी हो जाए, यू नो, यू डोंट मूव द फिंगर. सो यू वर लाइक ओके, वी स्टार्टेड, वी वर लाइक 10-15 minutes डाउन एंड फिर वी हियर अ नॉक एंड वी वर लाइक होली वाओ, ये क्या हुआ. वी हियर द नॉक अगैन एंड वी हियर, गर्ल्स आर यू स्टिल अवेक. इट वॉज आवर वार्डन. सो एवरीवन गॉट स्कैर्ड. सब ने उंगली हटाई, वीजा बोर्ड को रखा पिलो के नीचे एंड देन वी ओपन द डोर. ठीक है, द वार्डन मेड अस लीव इमीडिएटली. हम लोग अपने अपने रूम्स में चले गए, बट शी वॉज यू नो सो मच इन फियर. शी कॉल्ड अस बैक. एक बार वार्डन निकली कि लेट्स क्लोज इट, you know, let's close it, I want this to be closed. We were like okay, you know, relax. Close किया हमने, सब हुआ. Anyways, it was done. We went away to our rooms, but that things stayed in her mind कि हमने उंगली हटाई. ठीक है. The remaining 3 of us which were like कि ठीक है, you know, whatever करके हम लोग निकल गए. We were fine, but there were things happening with her. Things happening in the sense there was nothing paranormal happening, but वो जो fear था उसके mind में, it stayed with her so much that she started hallucinating, she started visualizing, she started, you know, lot of things happened, but nothing paranormal. और वो थोड़े time में ठीक हो गई थी लड़की. It was just the fear that was playing on her mind. Now here in this case, when they were doing the Ouija board, the nun, the teacher came in. हमने तो सिर्फ उंगली हटाई थी, उसने Ouija board तोड़ा. Okay. Now, if she used to practice occult, or if they had something that they were doing, that fear would have gone so deep in her कि you know that अब कुछ होने वाला है, kind of a thing. ठीक है. Now, उस वजह से probably हो सकता है that she, like my friend did, probably she started hallucinating, probably she started experiencing things. And जैसे इसमें बताया था that वो catalepsy से she passed. So I was just seeing, you know, what this catalepsy is all about. And उसमें one of the reasons for catalepsy is withdrawal of cocaine. So because she was in that zone where she was not able to move out of the house, because she was experiencing so many things, hallucinating, or she was in that terrible fear that something's going to happen, probably she was on drugs. Probably उसका वो lack.
This is pain we are talking about.
Cocaine.
This is pain we are talking about. Drugs is like.
Yeah, so probably she, you know, could not get an access to it. And she ended up with the epilepsy or, you know, the catalepsy, and ultimately वो hallucinations वगैरह सब हो रहे थे उसको. So this was something.
And one more thing about these Ouija boards that I mean we always ask people not to indulge in all these things is because although हमको ये पता है कि लोग जाते हैं, I mean the people who make anti-venoms, they tell us exactly अगर कोई गलती से भी अगर आपको सांप ढस लिया तो आप इतना टाइम में आप एंटीवेनम ले लो, आप सब ठीक हो जाओगे. बट उसका ये मतलब तो नहीं ना कि हम ज़बर से जाके अपने सांप से कटवा लें, है कि नहीं. सो इन द सेम वे we know and we make you explain or we explain for you the entire logic behind the Ouija board, the science behind the Ouija board, but that doesn't mean that we are giving you the license to go and practice this.
Yeah, मतलब नहीं, that's what the whole point is कि even for that matter your hostel case, there's a high chance there could be an entity that was kind of affecting her. Who knows?
That could have been because मैं खाली जो बोल रही हूँ was because of my senses that I was not sensing anything as such.
नहीं, that is fine. Yeah, understood. But I'm trying to relate it to where Estefania's case. Okay, we can give all kinds of angles of the angles. You just kind of debunk the entire thing. Even for that matter, I have my own red flags where, you know, this Ouija board which is broken by the nun and this black smoke is coming out. My red flag was, what if the Ouija board was kind of infected by some microbacterial thing? कुछ तो मोल्ड जैसा होगा, मशरूमी थिंग ही होगा, एंड इट ब्रोक एंड इट केम आउट बिकॉज वी ऑल नो के बाहर जो वीजी बोर्ड्स बनते हैं, दे आर नॉट मेड अप ऑफ the ones that we have in our office or the one we use made up of plastic or 3D printing material. उसका नहीं बना होता. It's like a proper original one are of cardboards only. Then later on plywoods and woods में mainly ज़्यादातर बनते हैं. And woods, plywoods, especially plywoods, वो तो अच्छा खासा उसके अंदर mold जम सकता है.
Right.
If it is kept opened or exposed to water. Let's say कि वो break होता है and ऐसा black smoke निकल के आता है and she inhales, it is going to infect her. And like what you said, slowly it is going to affect her lungs and asphyxia होके it leads to whatever it was. Very
molds
honestly,
are a big cause of even of hallucinations.
But
and
then
everything.
this is what I was coming to ultimately कि no matter हम लोग कितना भी angle दे दें, it can be any angle of psychology or the molds or that the parental issue she had with her mom and all. One thing that's still very much possible is the angle of demonic.
Actual, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a demonic angle to this. I'll tell you why. Because see, the spiritual world exists. We all know. Yeah. But we measure or we believe in the spiritual world or not only when it is manifested in this physical world. तो यहाँ पर जो मैनिफेस्टेशंस होते हैं तो इट कैन ईदर बी अ पोल्टरगाइस्ट एक्टिविटी कंप्लीटली जब सबको नज़र आता है, या स्पिरिट फोटोग्राफी जहाँ पर सब कुछ नज़र आता है, मैनिफेस्ट होता है, और इट माइट बी मैनिफेस्टेड बाय पीपल एक्टिंग क्रेजी लाइक गेटिंग पोजेस्ड. वरना किसको क्या पता है कि कोई पोजेस्ड है कि नहीं है. अगर माइल्डली पोजेस्ड हो, माइल्डली अगर उसका मूड चेंज हुआ है, माइल्डली अगर वो डिप्रेशन में चला गया है, नोबडी सेज इट इज पोजेशन, बट इट इज ऑलवेज डिमोनिक. So what you're saying is true. What you're saying is true. There is a demon angle to this.
There's always there, no. Also another angle, another red flag I was seeing was of, मतलब वही ना, the mother seems to be the main
वो
propaganda agenda here.
मेरा भी ध्यान बार मदर की तरफ जा रहा है.
मतलब if only that is only अगर हम लोग पैरानॉर्मल को अगर ऐसा बाजू में बोलते हैं कि तू बाजू हट.
Yes.
तो
पैरानॉर्मल को बाजू में हटाए. It could be that the mother only was possessed. And she started the entire thing together, and after she tried to also destroy evidence by that brown slimy thing that was never.
Today only you were showing him this brown slimy thing in our house. Maybe it was pest control.
मैं इसीलिए दिखा रही थी.
Maybe it was pest control, who knows. But then even if let's say even that is a separate angle जो आप बोल रहे हो ना कि of the mother getting possessed and doing all those things, अगर वो भी हम हटा दें तो भी मदर का बैड इंटेंशन दिख रहा है इसमें. इन अ बैड इंटेंशन वे सेल्फिश इंटेंशन दिख रहा है कि वी ऑल नो इन प्लेसेस लाइक स्पेन हो गया, मेक्सिको हो गया, लॉट ऑफ दिस
लैटिन अमेरिकन
कंट्रीज पोवर्टी अच्छा खासा है. Everyone wants to grow economically and be free and everything and सब कुछ. So what if this particular mother also wanted the same? The angle I'm taking here is quite common these days, is what if she wanted to do something good but the actions were wrong and as a result Estefanía got killed for that thing.
Like she didn't intend to, लेकिन वो escalate हो गया
and she had to remove the evidences like you said. So I'm just connecting what you said plus putting in my views too. For example, let's say the father's name was some Maximo. People will say something else if I say now. But anyways, Maximo, the father's name, and I think they were having some issues as well, husband wife. उनका कुछ तो scene था शायद.
She was always demanding on him.
Demanding and everything. Yeah, so let's say she was all demanding and she wanted to move out of this crappy flat and whatever. And she wanted to take an angle where the kids are not feeling safe here. And as a result, she created this entire situation of ghost and the crucifixes being broken down, burning things and those things. लेकिन करते करते something happened and because the girl and the mother never had a good relationship. So probably even she was not liking what the mother is doing and she confronted her and कुछ हो गया हाथापाई and कुछ गलती से लग गया and she died.
And she was what? I mean, the girl was only 16, 17 year old. She was born in 1973 and the death occurred in 1991. Right. So she was only like 16, 17 year old, a vulnerable age for people at that time. And knowing the situation in Latin America over there, वहाँ पर इतना आसानी से drugs वगैरह मिलते हैं.
Easy.
So what you're saying actually makes sense कि वो भी disturbed गई होगी and the mother actually wanted to get them out of that situation.
Another angle is her mother was high in drugs and she has no idea that she hit her daughter so hard that she went into coma and leke udhar she was declared dead in the hospital.
But then they found no marks or
Marks
nothing
वगैरह
on
नहीं
the
मिले
हाँ,
थे.
correct. There was no
reports.
marks
No
in the body.
assault.
No assault, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was something in जो कि मतलब सिस्टम में गया है and अंदर से ही उसको डैमेज किया है.
Either the mold fungus that you
Mold
were talking
fungus.
about or
Same
the
thing could
nitric
be in the
acid.
house also ना कि it was causing hallucinations for everyone because
हाँ वो भी हो सकता है.
क्योंकि जैसे कि अभी हम क्या बताते हैं कि हेलुसिनेशन कभी रिपीटेडली सेम लोगों को नहीं होता है बट इफ द सेम पीपल आर लिविंग इन द सेम प्लेस दे विल हैव ऑल हेलुसिनेशन साथ में. That's how hallucinations happen.
Poor condition of the house filled
House
with
I'm saying
molds
because
and all.
again Latin America has a history of not proper structures and
नहीं
most
वहाँ
of them are
मोल्ड्स
old
बहुत
and all.
जल्दी आते हैं.
है ना?
वहाँ मोल्ड्स बहुत जल्दी आते हैं. Even when I was there, अगर थोड़ा सा भी ध्यान नहीं दिया, there'll be like a full collection of molds. बहुत जल्दी आते हैं.
Possible and molds can not only kill you slowly but and also can in the process of killing can make you see things which are actually not
Yeah,
there.
yeah, hallucinations.
And as a result react in a way that can make you harm yourself.
And compounded with the anti-epileptic medications that she might be taking, probably गलती से बच्ची ने भी लिया होगा तो उनको भी hallucinations आए होंगे. I think between the tussle between the mother and the daughter, that the daughter also trying to say that the grandfather, you killed my grandfather and you were not in good terms with him. So I see this him always going through, and that time she starts acting crazy, and the mother opposing that. Between this tussle, something really occurred there.
And considering they were already believing in occult, what if there are other dark magics in action too for this flat grab thing, land grab thing, whatever it was? But do you think after Veronica, Estefania's death, the voices her mother heard that she was laughing and all, do you think it was more of residual or do you think because she had an untimely death she actually came on to haunt the family and the house?
I slightly would disagree with this because in a world if they have not trained themselves without the senses को कैसे body नहीं होगी तो कैसे अपना रास्ता find out करना है. अगर उन्होंने अपने आप को ट्रेन नहीं किया है तो it will be very difficult for that girl to come back again knowing that she was only 16 years old.
But don't you think because she has multiple things attached to her from the house, her brothers, her things, her childhood, everything, so anyway even though the soul may not be able to figure out how to go back if there's a possibility, but there are already a lot of attachments to her that might pull her back.
And she can
In a
also
way.
follow the family back home ना. अगर वो suppose for example she died in the hospital.
At the point of death if everybody was there
हाँ,
together.
if they were there, she could have followed them back home.
Or it could be demonic. A demon completely mimicking her her presence, her voice.
In that case, what is the demon's motto in this scene? What is it trying to do? Of course, let's say while she was playing the Ouija board, it came in, or let's say the mother only has summoned because of some of her selfish reason. The daughter is dead, so the demon stayed back to take its मतलब क्या बोलते हैं due back from the mother is why it stayed back because एक तो मर गया है ना, one of the family member is gone. So either the demon stayed back because the final काम अभी तक खत्म नहीं हुआ है, or that the demon came from the Ouija board part and now it's attached to the entire family and not just the girl who died. In that case, जहाँ जहाँ वो लोग जाने वाले थे वो तो
नहीं
घूमता रहता
गया
ना.
लेकिन वो नहीं हुआ. Once they left the house, I don't think उसके
Nothing
आगे
happened.
कुछ नहीं हुआ और घर में भी कुछ नहीं
घर
हुआ.
में भी कुछ नहीं हुआ. नए लोग जो आए ना, they also didn't face anything. अच्छा एक fresh angle दूं जो मेरे को just occur हो चुका है. Could it be that the neighbors had done something?
Oh.
The knocks, the noises, luring this girl into drugs or whatever, just to get them out of that place. And then after followed it after post death उनको जरा crazy करने के लिए ताकि वो लोग निकल गए. एक बार उन्होंने निकल गए then everything stopped.
In that case,
So was it dark magic or was it practical tricks that they?
dark magic तो I think we can discuss, but another angle I'm trying to see is of the drugs part that you bought in, and now even he mentioned again. Did her postmortem showed any drugs in her blood?
नहीं तो अरे तो she was withdraw हो चुका था ना,
of course she.
because of the withdrawal वो catalepsy आया.
But then अच्छा नहीं, उसके पास था ही नहीं, बिल्कुल स्टैक नहीं.
उसके ब्लड में ट्रेसेस तो नहीं मिले एंड द कॉज ऑफ अ डेथ वाज नोन एज पल्मोनरी एस्फिक्सिएशन. दैट मीन्स शी एक्चुअली चोक्ड टू डेथ आउट ऑफ ब्रेथलेसनेस. सो देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ पल्मोनरी मतलब बिलोंगिंग टू द लंग्स. सो लंग्स का ये हुआ था, लंग्स कंप्लीटली डैमेज हुए थे. Pulmonary asphyxiation is, that means your lungs are completely left its capacity. Asphyxiation means to be choked to death.
So the dark magic angle could be अगर है इसमें तो even the molds can be a part of that dark magic thing.
And मैं यहाँ पर from like बहुत ही
complete. I'll say later.
मैं यहाँ पे एक बहुत ही अलग एंगल डाल रही हूँ. मैं यहाँ पर फ्रॉम अ हीलर्स पर्सपेक्टिव डाल रही हूँ. सिंस यू नो इट्स कनेक्टेड टू द लंग्स टोटली गिविंग अप, इट्स एक्सट्रीम प्रोलॉन्ग्ड सैडनेस, ग्रीफ that damages the lungs. You know, because every emotion, it damages some part of your body if it is not taken care of. Now, because ये बचपन से अगर if she was bullied, if she didn't have a good, you know, life at home, she didn't have friends outside, she was bullied in the school, so probably she was facing extreme sadness, extreme grief, and every emotion, it shows its effect in some part of the body. And when it comes to lungs, it is grief, sadness.
You mean to say the anahata was imbalanced?
Yeah, the heart chakra. Heart totally damaged heart chakra.
And that's what the entity poked and
हाँ, so she वो vulnerable, she became the weak link also ना. अगर if there was an entity involved, ये सबसे weakest link हुई.
Exactly.
But good point though. But coming back to your neighbor wala point, then you are saying the Ouija board had no hands, no relation to what happened.
It worked as a trigger, no? Once it happened over there, it worked like a trigger. Like बाकी सब कुछ तो षड्यंत्र चल ही रहा है कि इनको यहाँ से निकालना है, right? इस फिराक में इन्होंने क्या किया कि they were pushed into occultism. They tried magic potions probably, and they tried the Ouija board. Right, and then after when she inhaled something from there, God knows who, उनके neighborhood में से कोई तो बच्चा रहेगा उनके साथ में खेलते हुए, because बाकी सबको किसी को भी इंटरोगेट नहीं किया है. इफेक्ट हुआ है स्टेफानिया पे, बट बाकी सब जो थे बच्चे जो वीजी बोर्ड पे थे, उनको क्वेश्चन किया क्या कि क्या हुआ, उनके ऊपर कोई असर पड़ा है क्या? They might be one of the neighbors and might be completely hushed up कि ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, and it was she who inhaled it on her own or she who ingested it on her own, whatever.
Even yes.
नहीं, मैं यहाँ पे खाली इतना बोल रही हूँ कि एक चीज़ हम लोग यहाँ पर वी कांट ओवरलुक कि वीजा बोर्ड जहाँ पर है, इट इज़ 99% इडियोमोटर इफेक्ट and 1% ऑफ एक्चुअल.
नहीं, that is there, but
even the idiomotor effect also is triggered by the
nerves and
by the spirits that are governing you at that point. If you're attached, then you will make sure that it goes there.
नहीं, irrespective, what I'm trying to say here is कि idiomotor effect trigger हो या नहीं हो, that's a separate thing. Even if someone just stands and just calls out कि मरा हुआ boyfriend, मरा हुआ Hitler, आओ मेरे से बात करना है, you don't need a Ouija board or a Ouija board for that.
You are as it is summoning.
Yeah, it will happen anyway for that matter.
So what I very strongly feel, it's the collective intention of the people who are doing it more than what they are using to do it.
True.
है ना?
Correctly, very much. Yes.
So it's अगर आप board नहीं भी है, अगर आप collectively कुछ समन करना चाह रहे हो, you are throwing so much of energy that you will be summoning something and you will be opening portals.
Also, the police, how can they just directly conclude and declare कि अच्छा नहीं ये तो case of paranormal था and सब कुछ?
नहीं.
ये पुलिस ने खुद एक्सपीरियंस किया है.
हाँ, पुलिस ने ना, उनका जो रिपोर्ट भी है ना, उसके अंदर पुलिस ने और द अकल्टिस्ट जो थे ऑल अराउंड द वर्ल्ड, जो पैरानॉर्मल इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स, जो सो कॉल्ड पैरानॉर्मल इन्वेस्टिगेटर बोलते हैं या स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट बोलते हैं खुद को, उन्होंने उसको एंगल अलग दिया है. व्हाट ही रोट इन हिज रिपोर्ट ना इज वेरी सिंपल. दे जस्ट हर्ड अ नॉक, they just heard the door slam, they saw the brown slime, बाथरूम में गए तो ठंडी महसूस हुई, उतना ही लिखा है.
Again the bathroom thing, you are in the bathroom.
मैं जो एक आर्टिकल पढ़ रही थी उसमें लिखा था that the father and the mother they told कि ज़्यादातर एक्टिविटीज़ रात को होती हैं, दिन में उतनी नहीं होती हैं. So the police were like ठीक है हम रात को आते हैं. They came, They took them to her room, and वहाँ पर पुलिस के सामने एक्टिविटीज हुई थी, is what the police mentioned.
Fine.
And they just said it that in a very matter of fact manner कि ये हुआ है. उन्होंने ये नहीं बोला कि there is a paranormal angle. वो paranormal angle तो बाकी सब लोग ने दिया है. Why? Because the mother जो थी ना, conception जो भी उसका नाम है, उन्होंने क्या किया था? After this, she didn't consult real investigators. She consulted a lot of spiritualists, a lot of occultists, a lot of paranormal investigators who were charlatans. ढोंगी थे सब लोग. एक one such person demanded $2,000 from them, claiming that I can get rid of the spirit. पहली बात तो उसने claim भी कैसे किया कि वहाँ पर spirit है? Before investigation. Because वहाँ से निकल गए तो सब निकल गए ना. That means his claim was really wrong. There was one person who was very well known in Spain as a occultist. वो भी आया था वहाँ पर. And उसने भी अपना अलग सा एंगल दिया. So ये सब मनगढ़ंत कहानियाँ थी.
नहीं, that is fine. That is one point, but I'm saying even from the police point of view, कि you just went once, you experienced something and you declared.
No, he just read it in his report. He didn't declare anything.
नहीं, that's what I'm saying. मतलब पुलिस का काम क्या है? Thorough investigation. And like if for like any other investigator, not necessarily paranormal or a police or some intelligence or anything, the work is to find out answers to the things they are not understanding.
इसमें भी किया है. क्यों नहीं किया है? You know what? I understand. I mean जो perspective से तुम बोल रहे हो कि police should have interrogated completely. But पुलिस के पास काम बहुत रहता है पहली बात तो, right? And it is time and again written in all these articles over there that उनको impress करना that there is a occult angle to this is very difficult. They are very much, they know this कि वहाँ पर ये चलता ही रहता है. They know this, right? So first of all, the autopsy report जो आया बोला it is a natural cause, it is sudden and strange, so they believed it. Family ने कुछ धुआं नहीं उठाया कि यहाँ पर नहीं, you need to investigate, you need to. They accepted it and they said okay fine, we are going to move out of the house or whatever like that. दूसरी चीज़, राइट. थर्ड चीज़ एंड अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंगल टू दिस वाज 1991 में मौत हुई. 1992 या 1993 में देयर वाज अ जनरल इलेक्शंस इन स्पेन. सो दे वर बिजी प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर ऑल दैट एंड ऑल द प्रोपेगेंडा, सब कुछ जो चल रहा था वहाँ पर, सब आवाज़ें जो चल रही थी, पॉलिटिकल टर्मोइल जो चल रहा था, दे वर बिजी इन ऑल दोज थिंग्स. सो I guess it was like they were quite busy and they just shut a case. It's okay, it's just done. बिकॉज कोई कंप्लेन ही नहीं कर रहा है ना कि मर्डर है कि नहीं है. फैमिली खुद इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है तो वो लोग क्या करेंगे फिर?
क्लोज कर दिया बस.
Then again it's लैटिन अमेरिका घूम फिर के. कितना एनवायरनमेंट भी कितना मैटर करता है ना, सराउंडिंग ऑल्सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्टिविटीज, ऑल्सो बिकॉज ऑफ द वे थिंग्स आर हैंडल्ड देयर इन टर्म्स ऑफ ड्रग्स एंड ऑल. इट इज एनीवे अ प्लेस फॉर infestations to happen quite easily. Like again, you don't need a Ouija board to may summon a inhuman human, what kind of entity you want to summon because of the constant, and for generations it has been happening. And even though right now so many of these regulations have happened, but still जहाँ होने को होता है वहाँ पे तो होता ही है.
जितना रेत को जोर से पकड़ो मुट्ठी में हो तो निकल ही जाता है. सो द unless they really endeavor to improve the economical status there, the crime and the drug angle will always be there. Like it happens in countries like of Africa, Somalia and all, the piracy that's going on over there. Unless and until you don't improve the economical status, endeavor to do that, वो तो होता रहेगा.
But what would be your final word? Okay, how did you think Estefanía actually died? What would be your conclusion, two of you?
Driven by demonic entities, driven by her depression or her rebellion to go against society and against her own mother. It was triggered by all those things. It was driven by all those things, but triggered by her ingestion of that particular smoke or whatever that was done. And then afterwards getting affected by epilepsy. Her death might have been looked as natural, but then it was driven towards all these things by some occult angle. I strongly believe in the paranormal angle to this. But not in the way that it is shown in the movies that हाँ वो सही में जाके अपने उसको hallucinations आए या ये आए वो आए. नहीं. It was all driven, but then after in a very natural manner.
एक मिनट, before you say, the mold if inhaled, it should have been found in the blood, no?
Organic matter है, शायद से नहीं दिखेगा.
नहीं दिखता है शायद. आता है वो, it's there. If it is done the right way, you will see there are ऐसा.
But then वहाँ पर वापस से मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ कि pulmonary asphyxiation लिखा है, यानी कि lungs were damaged.
हाँ, क्यों कैसे हुए वो नहीं लिखा है.
हाँ, यहाँ से breath नहीं हुआ है, या breath बंद नहीं हुआ है, यहाँ पे choking की वजह से asphyxiation नहीं हुआ है, asphyxiation यहाँ से हुआ है.
So mold का is very much possible है.
Potent angle
है. हाँ, now yours.
I will also consider the weakest link point where she could have been targeted. वो हो सकता है she could have been a drug addict, जहाँ पर वो शायद
drug वाला angle is nice actually, the withdrawal होके उसके बाद the leptic she was having.
Yeah, so that made her even more vulnerable, because if there was an entity, a demonic entity, something involved, when she, it led, because she became from a weak to a weaker link, and hence, everything just happened.
Nice.
Do you know there was a second police report which could have been the first police report also, which doesn't mention all of these things, and was never taken into consideration. Why? Because again, the same thing, the propagandists wanted to see the paranormal angle.
That's what, no? This is quite clear though, even movie में भी वो झलक रहा था, the way they were showing things, they wanted to sit on the paranormal angle and say कि भाई साहब यही हुआ था. But then they did such a shitty job in even showing that part कि it was not even convincing.
I still believe it's a paranormal case, but the thing is not the way they show it. वो शोशा वाला नहीं.
I also think it's a very slow process of death that she incurred, even though she died of asphyxiation and the lungs being damaged and everything. But I think that process began many days or months back.
Lungs suddenly नहीं damage होंगे.
नहीं, irrespective of that is of course a point to consider, but I'm just saying in a very generic term कि वो process चालू हो गया था, and this was supposed to happen someday or the other, considering the elements involved, the mother, the demonic angle, the paranormal angle, the molds, because of course molds भी तो ऐसे एक दिन में नहीं आए होंगे ना, कब से आ रहे होंगे.
Right.
So now they are acting up and everything, and finally it all led to this one particular thing. है ना? That's it, है ना? और क्या है इसके अंदर? That's it everyone for our अरे ठीक हो जा for this episode of the Ghost Encounters Unfiltered Podcast. And I hope आप लोगों को अच्छा लगा हो. Actually मूवी में ही इतना कुछ एंगल बता दिया था, दिखा दिया कि even we were kind of like कि हम पैरानॉर्मल के एंगल के अलावा कितना ही और डीप जा सकते हैं. बट थैंकफुली आई थिंक थैंक्स टू आवर इन्वेस्टिगेटिव माइंड्स दैट वी फाउंड द मोल्ड एंगल, द मदर एंगल एंड अदर्स, द नेबर्स एंगल, ड्रग्स एंगल, विच वाज क्वाइट गुड. एंड आई थिंक वो अल्टीमेटली वही है ना कि दीज आर ऑल अजम्पशंस फॉर श्योर, बट अभी जब तक हम इन्वेस्टिगेट ना कर लें, अजम्पशन के अलावा हम कर ही क्या सकते हैं. और we can only assume कि अच्छा ऐसा हो सकता है, वैसा हो सकता है. And the very reason why you should assume is because every angle can have multiple angles apart from the angle you are being shown paranormal or not. So do not just conclude कि अच्छा नहीं ये तो मूवी में दिखाया था, ये तो पक्का haunted है करके. Not necessary. There could be other thousands of angles that can be bought in, that can be used to debunk, that can be concluded, and this is what we do in the Ghost Encounters Unfiltered podcast. We are just trying to give you angles which are possible. We may not be correct, we are not saying कि हम लोग सही बोल रहे हैं, but we are just trying to question the conclusion that what if ऐसा नहीं हुआ था तो. Because as of now, as of 2023, we know there are things and there are bodies and there are entities which are very much in power to change documents and put something जो उनके propaganda को suit करे. And if something like this is happening on such a top-notch level, ground level पे तो और भी अच्छा खासा हो रहा होगा to suit what the demands are and what they want. Again, not ignoring the fact that paranormal भी हो सकता है, but paranormal की भी limit है, paranormal के भी चीज़ें हैं जो कि possible है, नहीं है. All those angles are talked in this podcast. This is Ghost Encounters Unfiltered. And yeah, that's it. If you guys enjoyed and are watching यहाँ तक आपने देख लिया है तो do like, do subscribe, and do let us know your favorite moment from this podcast. Also do comment down your dissection of this podcast. It feels amazing to see that we have so many of these fine researchers and investigators and what do we call them? Deductors, people who deduce.
Investigators.
Yeah, investigators who are Desi or Bidesi Sherlocks who are in our subscribers list, who write down their पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू अच्छा लगता है पढ़ के. प्लीज डू राइट डाउन कि आपको क्या लगता है. एंड डिड यू लाइक द मूवी? मेरे को बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लगा. आई सजेस्ट डू नॉट वॉच द मूवी इफ यू आर लुकिंग फॉर एंटरटेनमेंट. इट्स शिटी थिंग. बट इन केस आपने देखा है, प्लीज डू लेट अस नो कि आपको क्या लगा अबाउट द मूवी. एंड या वी आर एमिंग टू हिट 50,000 सब्सक्राइबर्स बाय द एंड ऑफ May. If we have hit by this podcast, I have no idea. We have no idea. But हो गया तो अच्छी बात है. नहीं है तो मदद कर दो कि we cross 50,000 subscribers soon. Also for the people who do not like YouTube for your own personal reasons, you can listen to this podcast 24 hours before it is live on our channel, that is on Saturday. But Friday को ये podcast live हो जाएगा on Spotify, and on Spotify too you can find all the other things, all the other podcasts, and you can binge listen to them while you're driving or cooking or for that matter studying. The other day someone wrote in the comment section that I'm a PhD or some student in London and I'm doing my work. He was working in some place. I'm in my shift right now, so while I'm doing my shift, मेरा एक कान shift में, दूसरा कान is plugged into your podcast.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
this
an
guy is
honor.
from London actually. So yeah, you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple as well. But if you are watching this video, let's hit 1,000 likes to this video if it is possible. It would be great. Let's aim at hitting 1,000 likes and see you guys next time around. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much guys for all the love and all the support to this channel, to us, to our all the fan pages. Thank you so much. हम expect नहीं कर रहे थे कि इतने सारे बन जाएंगे, but just make sure you're not doing any kind of violent activities or racist things are happening or bitchings are happening in the fan clubs. We do not want that to happen. And अगर आप कर रहे हो, फंस रहे हो, just letting you know, we are not going to stand and back you for that, because we are strict in our regulations. We maintain dignity, and if you love us, help us maintain that dignity, help us maintain that respect that we have created for each other and for this community. And that's what the fan clubs should be. And yeah, this is the fan club is the fandom name is already declared. It's Anima, and I hope आपको अच्छा लग रहा हो. There are t-shirts which are being done right now. When they'll be out, they'll be out. But thank you so much everyone. This is Sarbajeet signing off.
Pooja signing off.
Savio signing off with a big thank you for everybody who prayed for my health. I'm back again.
Yeah. Bye bye everyone. Take care.
Bye.